rules of the metaverse. And rule number one is that there's only the metaverse. There's not a bunch of metaverses. So that, for me, is a strong indicator. If I see someone talking about our metaverse or a metaverse, yeah, I immediately begin to question whether they really got it. Whereas if somebody talks about the thing, what we're building in the metaverse, that gives me more of a warm feeling about what they're doing. And I think that's because a central idea of the metaverse, at least in the book, is that there is just one of them. And that doesn't mean that it's all kind of the same thing everywhere. Far from it. It's an incredibly diverse range of experiences, but you can always get from one to the other by moving around in a single unitary space.
So there we have it, folks. Appropriate on the New Year's Day to have the beginning of the metaverse talking about the future. That, of course, is the author Neil Stevenson, who featured the word, the metaverse, and a concept of the metaverse back in his novel Snow Crash, over 25 years ago at least. And so I thought a bit of reflection there to start the year. As you gather from the first graphic, it is a happy new year. Or is it? Maybe it's a sad new year. Maybe it's a bloody disastrous new year, for all I know. But we'll do our best to, well, not so much keep you entertained, but keep you up to date a little bit. Obviously, with the holiday, there hasn't actually been that much news, and we're catching up for 2 weeks anyway. So we'll see how we go. Within, got about 40 minutes to go or something. Okay, lest I forget, my name is Mal Burns, and we'll be featuring our headlines for the 2 weeks ending in the 1st of January, i.e., today, of the year. I'm going to get it right this week, but who knows? 2023! Yay!
Yay! I need a little buzzer or something.
Yeah, I need a little buzzer, as long as you don't press the clanky thing that tells me my time's up.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
You can just applaud me instead. Anyway, sitting next to me here is well, please yourself. Sitting here next to me is James Atlloud, who handles all the knobs that control our video, our sound, and everything else. And later on today, he's going to be trying on a new hat. It's actually going to be on another show, but believe it or not, it's a hat that's got a knob on. So he'll be in seventh heaven, sitting in a hat with a knob on. Yes. Anyway,
another grid, another avatar, another account.
Indeed. Well, getting on with the show, so to speak, let's move on.
Mal, I have a question.
Oh, yeah.
So in the clip, I couldn't hear it at all. It was very quiet. So what did Stevenson say?
Oh, well, he just basically said there's only one metaverse.
Okay.
Not lots of metaverses and things, but
I'm good with that.
I'm upping my speaker volume, so hopefully that'll be a bit better. Yeah, they were a bit. I didn't have full volume on the clip either. Okay. Okay, well, we can judge by this next clip. This is another very short clip, 2 minutes. Telling me the metaverse is here, the next trillion-dollar industry. So, again, we're on the theme of looking back briefly. So these are the kind of video roundups.
Hi there. I'm an AI clone of Moodle CEO Danny Stefanik, and today I want to talk about the metaverse and what it means for the business sector. After years of development from tech companies exploring the application of the metaverse, we are now looking at the beginning of a new era for the metaverse. It is clear to see that it is not only a theory, but an actual reality set to disrupt the way businesses and individuals engage with one another. So, what is it? The term metaverse is widely used within the tech realm. Put simply, it describes the creation of shared 3D virtual spaces that access with 3D avatars and link to a virtual universe, and access through different online tools. The metaverse is not limited to consumers or the entertainment world. Businesses and public organizations are also ideally positioned to benefit, from using the metaverse to host events and conferences to education and training simulations and more. I call this the metaverse for business. 3D is certainly the predominant media type for games, but it is also the fundamental component of a swathe of industries for decades, from construction to real estate, training, and virtual conferences. The metaverse is part of a tech evolution cycle, with 3D being the future. about it, from bulky monitors to laptops, then mobile phones and smart glasses, which even though received mixed responses, made evident that 3D is the next natural iteration of display technology. Internet browsers have been adding to their capabilities to facilitate 3D functionality, and 3D as a media type is now available in all web browsers and by extension on all devices, even VR and AR devices. According to one study by Can I Use, roughly 98% of users are technically ready to jump into the metaverse. As society continues to learn more about the concept and its practical uses, I anticipate interest and demand for metaverse applications will rise, leading to this becoming a trillion-dollar industry. As it shifts into the mainstream, it is up to organizations to explore how they could leverage the metaverse as part of their digital transformation.
Philip, you've been at this for a long time. You think it's possible, all of these issues? Meaning that you can actually create an interoperable world, that I can be in one world, and maybe I've even bought a digital pair of Air Jordans, and I can still wear them to the next place, and then I can have my yacht club monkey. You know what I mean? Like, can I? Is all this?
Like, you bought a yacht in the metaverse?
No, I didn't buy it. Am I going to be able to? But I think this is the real question, which is how interoperable these things ever can really be.
Well, I certainly think from a technical perspective, we can do everything here. I mean, between the various technology companies that are working on this now at such scale, we definitely can make anything we want technically happen. I think the question is, and if you're asking, can we have a form of interoperability, say an identity and moderation that is a stable, positive environment? I think that's certainly true. And an interesting fact about Second Life, though it's not experienced on headsets, it's experienced on screens, but an interesting fact about it is that it stands out as a remarkably positive experience overall for the people that are there. So strangely enough, and I don't want to brag and say we anticipated this ahead of time, but the experience that people actually do have in Second Life for the people that are there, which is a smaller group than the whole world, but it's 1 million people, is remarkably positive. People get along. They make new friends. They overcome, divisive boundaries. So it's intriguing to note that technology is kind of neutral, but right now we're appropriately concerned with some of the negative impacts it's had. But I think the metaverse experience, and the particular experience of bringing people together with the right shared rules, the right basic rules about how they can interact, does have the potential of bringing us all together worldwide in the way that we're doing it right here. Right.
Well, that, of course, is Philip Rosedale, the founder of Second Life, talking this year at the World Economic Forum. And, again, another thing, but we can't look back at every event that's actually happened over the course of the year. So, but I think those 3 little clips give an idea of what it's all about and everything else. And I'd echo the words Philip says as far as OpenSim is concerned, which is a sort of cousin, as I prefer to call it, of Second Life. I wonder why this gadget's not working. Who knows? Right. Okay. So I'm going to move on to some web clips for the week. Obviously, I didn't actually say at the beginning of the show, but we look at immersive spaces and virtual worlds online and things like that. December the 20th, this would have been when? Well, a few days before the holiday, and therefore about 10-15 days ago. No, about 12 days ago from where we are now. This is a site called thescarredghost.com, run by a guy called Tony Vitillo, who is in fact the Scarred Ghost, and SKARREDGHOST.com. Cue the music. We give him that. Indeed. He actually sent a greetings out, which he didn't dress himself as a snowman, he dressed himself as a ghost man. Highly appropriate. Okay, he has a look at the a week gone by, but this is literally 3 weeks ago now. I noticed that John Carmack left Meta, the organisation formerly known as Fatbook, and HTC teases its headset and a whole lot more. And but this is a kind of a before and after thing. A basic thing here is that the Oculus headset, in one form or another, is now 10 years old. Hard to believe. It has come a long way, from a monstrosity you put on your head to a slightly less monstrous thing you put on the head that also reads your mind and connects you to the Facebook organization too. Oh, sorry, I should call them Meta. I forget whether it was this year or the year before that they rebranded themselves as Meta, but Meta they are, and Meta they're not, if you catch my drift. Anyway, this is a roundup. That's John Carmack, the chap who left Meta. Other relevant news, HTC are going to reveal the headset, and that's going to be at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, which starts tomorrow, I do believe. It's certainly next week, and it might have started already for all I know. Yeah, I'm not going to go through all that stuff, but suffice stuff there. Right, so as I say, you find that at thescarredghost.com. Also, about the same time, 10 days ago, Spatial Beats at arinsider.co, so ARINSIDER.co. Another roundup, this is Charlie Fink's beginning of the week roundup. I'm giving you the address so you can go and check these. These are all good regular sites. I'm not going to look at it in any detail because it is 10 days ago now. And also metaverse-standards.org. So that's METAVERSE dash STANDARDS.org. No spaces there, just metaverse standards as a word. And it's just a press release basically from the Standards Forum saying that they're establishing a pipeline of exploratory and working groups. And working groups is really kind of what they are all about. They are a working group for standards. They are not necessarily dedicated to the open metaverse, which some other groups, including the OMI and the one sponsored by Lamina are. Right, so I'll put that on the way too. And AR Post again, arpost.co. They had a report, this is just before the holiday actually, UC Berkeley released a report on safety in social VR. And you can click through on this to read the report and actually download it. It's a sort of a big PDF paper. Don't we love papers? Because they're not on paper anymore.
Sure.
Yeah, that's something that happened this year. They're publishing papers that aren't on paper. Gosh golly, I don't understand that one, do I? Anyway, so I'd be silly then. Get the idea. Okay, Forbes.com. This week in XR, see Fat Santa Fly, the year of AI and Carmack's departure. Again, this was on December 23rd, so it's before the holiday. But going to Forbes and looking at Charlie Fink's column, once a week is always a good way of sort of ending the week, basically, with a roundup of what's been going on. So remove that. Right, screenshotmedia.com. This is an odd one, actually. SCREENSHOT dash, again, media, MEDIA.com. So screenshot-media.com. And, well, it's just fascinating. They're talking about using drones that have strings on them, and they will actually be able to puppeteer you like, Thunderbirds. Or something, where the things that have strings, although the best ones you can see the strings, of course. But noisy thing, please go away. Oh God! Right, don't want you here. Go and hide over there. Sorry about that, folks. We have an interruption. Right. Okay, but this is just, I don't know, quite an idea that there you have a drone. And then it's puppeteering your fingers and stuff. So you don't have to move your fingers to interact in VR anymore. You've got a drone that will do it for you. I mean, haptic puppets. Open verdict, I think. I love, and as you know, covering stuff like this. Will it happen? Will it be, as the old TV show said, a hit or a miss? I really don't know. But got to say, what was all this stuff going on? More haptics. Creepy looking VR gadget MuTalk allows the metaverse users to scream as if nobody's listening. So I suppose the idea is you sit in a family sitting room and you put your helmet on and go into a really scary thing, and you wear these gags so that you can scream your heart out with nobody else in the room hearing you. Again, hit or miss, I really couldn't tell you. So those pieces are at screenshotmedia.com. Quite interesting. Web spaces. Right, this is a gfodor.medium.com. I think it's not beyond behind their paywall, so it's easy enough to get to. GFODOR dot medium.com. And Greg Fodor, he writes quite a lot of articles and things, but he's actually talking about web spaces. The most common one that people know is probably Mozilla's hubs. But the idea, these are 3D worlds built actually on the web. There's various Discord channels you can go to join up for this sort of thing too. Secret Mozilla Hubs Master Plan. Do we want to know? But I kind of like that, you sort of build by coding like you would a website and ultimately end up with a virtual world. And, given the end result, I won't say that code is simple. I've looked at some of it and don't really want to go anywhere near it. But it does seem an awful lot simpler than some other code I've read that is just generating a style sheet on a website. Mind you, I mean, the length of code, I think, bears some kind of relation to how much the publisher of the website wants to hide. So, for example, the code for an embedded video that they don't want you to copy is about 15 miles long, going vertically down into the ground, if you see what I mean. But obviously to generate a virtual world, it takes a bit of code, but maybe not as much as one might have thought. Anyway, you'll find this at gphoto.medium.com. And that one. Then XR Wheat Peak again. This one is actually December 27th. So this was actually since the holidays at the beginning of this week. Looking at Somnium VR1, for example, Somnium's top news and their 3D world, of course, as well as their headset. This guy always seems to end up in irrelevant news, but I'd say it's totally irrelevant news, actually. But something called Meta is stressing its commitment to XR. You think by now they'd have withdrawn all funds, but I must say they still seem to be thinking they're in the game anyway. Quest 2 getting more powerful, etc., etc. But since this is a roundup and it's actually for the week, basically the over the Hardy weekend, as it were, I'll pass that for now. But if you want to read it, and lots of other great reviews he does, it's scaredghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com, and the spooky music continues.
Oh, I didn't expect it that time.
Taking you by surprise there.
Yep,
Playing
yep.
a New Year prank on you, I was. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, this one's got me very weird. This is a globenewswire.com, GLOBENEWSWIRE.com. And if you read this headline, you may realize what surprised me. It's a company called Source Digital, who claim to be introducing the world's first smart TV metaverse. In other words, you better enter the metaverse on your smart TV as an experience. But it's a Sansar app. They're using the Sansar platform to bring hundreds of live entertainment channels into the world's first 2D, 3D metaverse. And the first TVs to include it will be LG's smart TVs. I would say that's a coup for Samsung more than anything else, that their platform has been chosen to actually render a 3D.
Yeah, and wouldn't a person call that YouTube?
Well, I think the idea is you better use your controls on your TV. You know, most TVs have a sort of left, right, up and down thing now, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
I guess you would, for channel select, I guess there'll be some way you'd actually be able to walk forward, back, sideways, and
I've my LG TV has a mouse, and so it's called the Magic Remote, and it works like a mouse. So that could actually, you could use that for movement, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if the idea is to bring concerts and live entertainment there, it may you know, the environment really could just be a panorama in 3D, and you know, walking up to the stage or to another stage or into a different room, kind of thing, could be all as it really needs. What will be interesting on TV, of course, is it would have to be on a streaming channel, but everything streams now. But whether how much it would include an uplink, in other words, whether you could talk to other people in the audience. But anyway, I think kind of exciting news, and so I picked it up anyway. But it's only when I'd actually started reading and thinking this sounds like a good idea, I suddenly thought, hang on, I've heard of Sansar. We've got a studio in
We've got a
Sansar.
studio in Sansar,
When
right?
this studio isn't here, we go to Sansar to do our thing. Anyway, all about it there. You will find this at Globe Newswire. It's not global, by the way. It's Globe Newswire, but all one word, .com. There is a Global Newswire. It's another site there. RoadToVR.com. Always up with some interesting things. The X Mask. Nothing to do with the X-Men, I don't think. But it aims to bring face tracking to consumers in unique face mask form technology. Right. That's about it, the face mask. Well, it's just a helmet with stuff on the front too, isn't it, almost? Now, actually, one I did read here somewhere there, that's actually gives you a better idea of how it would actually fit.
Oh, and it wouldn't help you with COVID, I guess, would it? The mouth is open.
No, it's yeah. I don't know. It's nice to say you couldn't have a sort of
Yeah, right. Put a filter on it.
a smell filter there, and
Right.
yeah, and actually it does. Well, it's like where his chin is there. It looks like his mouth could be. It's actually hard to tell from the illustration. Anyway, it sounded to be quite interesting, and I haven't got a link for this, but I did hear another bit of a sort of rumor, and it couldn't have been an April Fool's joke. We're far away from that at the moment. You know that some people, beauticians often recommend you wear a mud pack on your face to open the pores and, you know, make you pretty or whatever it does. There is talk about a sort of face mask that would solidify and actually act as an interface to pick up all your facial movements and then presumably wash it off afterwards. I don't know, but I can imagine that. Oh, hang on, go to the bathroom, put your face mask on, come back in, put your headset on, and say, right, face activated. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, that's quite interesting stuff at road2vr.com for that one. Moving down, we're going 2 weeks here, but I'm doing pretty well, I think. 2023, when's that? Oh, that's today.
I think we're there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would be the metaverse's make or break year. Simple facts, it's commentary here. It's from a reputable site, cnet.com, cnet.com. And yeah, that's their having thoughts. Obviously, when big sites like this start talking about the metaverse and make and break, they're probably thinking of Zuckerberg make and break. But they are including other things there, Magic Leap, etc., and all the other things coming along. So they reckon it can make and break, but I don't know. As I say, this year is what we will see. Right, xrtoday.com. Okay, this is December 29th, so we're getting close to it now. The top XR trends to explore in 2023, xrtoday.com, and trends influencing the future of extended reality. So quite a big list here, but if you want to keep up on all the things going on, you've got avatars and mirror worlds and mirror persons and blockchain, of course, teleportation, the edge, enhanced sensors and tracking, multi-sensory experiences, ergonomics and user experience. And I haven't got time to read all this. You can go and find it out for yourself. xrtoday.com for that little report. So it's the time of the year for reading that kind of stuff. Predictions and reminiscences, basically. This week in XR... Oh, you naughty person. Right, there we are. This week in XR, this is Charlie Finks from this weekend. And he's actually talking about New Year's Eve, which is yesterday in VR, but also what to expect at the Consumer Electronics Show this week. You're presumably going to bump into those people, at least you are if you wear a helmet. Roundup, basically, and as I said, this time next week we'll probably be looking at things that have been revealed at CES. There've already been a few theoretical announcements, shall we say, about what might be coming. And there is Charlie himself posing with a painting by the look of it. Actually, it's quite cleverly done that. Okay, Forbes.com for that one. Slashgear.com. This new VR technology could change the future of cancer treatments. Back on the medical track here, again, December 29th. It's just one of the many kind of treatments in the medical field that are using VR. They reckon doctors can see tumors very differently using VR analysis, basically. Rather than putting the patient in VR, it's down to their method of analysing and seeing what's going on in your body, if you're one of the unfortunates who is suffering, of course. Right, moving on down, and right, okay, I've moved on down, indeed I have, and that was it, except for the obligatory, it's at the bottom. My Mastodon feed, all my feeds on Mastodon end up at Twitter anyway. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you go to twitter.com/Malburns. That's MALBURNS. All the links I've featured today are on that feed, as are the Mastodon ones that I'm about to show you here. Also, I would hasten to add that the feed contains a whole lot more links than the ones I just keep back to cover on this show. The Mastodon feed is just simply a way I keep at the moment, or at least on this feed, all my embedded videos from the week. We have, starting this actually was earlier in the week, but the VR download featuring 10 years of Oculus, the best of VR. And this is the program James here very often finds himself listening to.
And I didn't this time.
Oh. Well,
yeah, I was erstwhile engaged. I'll go back and check it. But it's interesting if you start that video. My name is on the title on the first bits of video. If you pause it there, down at the bottom, look at that.
James Atlloud.
Yep.
There he is. So
you're for giving us your time today for VR download.
Am I on it?
John
West is there.
Are you a member? You have to join the channel. Not just subscribe, but join.
Right, okay. Yeah, I followed them, obviously, but no.
Right.
Okay, well, yeah, a bit of fame and fortune for you there.
Fame. Take a little fame here and there. Yep.
Quite sure what's happened here. I ended up going off. Oh, no, here we are, right. Okay, so the next one on the list is the F Reality podcast. This was a couple of days ago. I put it up this morning. A lot of gaming and stuff here, but it's actually got a question and answer, and it's like a New Year's show, so they throw in, it's the middle of the season, really, isn't it? Same with Between Realities. Their latest special is called VR Verse, but this is actually a company they're talking to called VR Verse. It's not just a prank. That lot of all the VR first people, basically. I'm not going to, there's not time to give you a teaser of any of these. This was augmented something interface debate. Well, it's an interesting one anyway. It's metaverse or augmented reality related. It talks about greater technology. It's actually surprising by some of the people that are actually on this panel. They're not people you'd expect to be talking on anything to do with computers, let alone virtual reality. But it was an interesting panel. And also the boss guy at HTC talks about the path to an open metaverse here. And there was a conference on for Gatherverse, actually, which is a sort of semi-web world, and a big conference with lots of big speakers. I've got links to those elsewhere. Sorry, that is just promo thing that went out there. And the second ever one here, I'll just give you a little teaser. The people at Awe, basically, they did the first one all ages ago, and they put the feeler out for that. And it's basically an XR comedy show, and it wasn't as good as the first one, I have to admit. But I'm going to go forward to. I mean, we got the Skull Ghost at the end. We can't miss that, can we? Well, we actually can, but
I don't want to know what it is represented by using virtual reality. Maybe I want. And then a dog playing beyond with a kid. A dog! What the hell, man? But it's even worse than this. Look, this guy that is playing tennis with a cooking pan on a Chinese.
well, you get the idea. It's a comedy show, basically, and various journalists we know love contributing their own idea of comedy to the comedy show. Anyway, right. So, if I Mastodon, but it's on my feed there. What else is here? Because it is 2 years. HTC's new headset. The VR download people were looking at that the week before last, which you probably did see, James.
I did watch that one. Yep.
Yeah. And and now we're back to.
What's that show? What is that
I'm not
show?
quite sure. This week in XR here was also on the 18th. So whilst this show, whatever it was going on, this was too. So that is still new. This should just be the other way around, really, shouldn't they? Oh, God, well, they were the other way around. Okay, forget it. Right, okay. So I think we're good to go on all that. I've got a whole load of links here, but I think they're ones from before that I haven't deleted. All those things for another program shortly. So I'm going to move back to our clips now, and let's see. We've got about 7 minutes left. 10 minutes, and okay. I'm going to miss the TED talk, but I'm going to leave us with can the metaverse live up to expectations, basically. So we'll have a look at this one.
This is your tech news briefing for Friday, November 25th. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. The concept of the metaverse sprung into the mainstream last year. Some companies have started up or refocused their businesses to work on building hardware and software for what they see as the future of the online world. A digital realm where we can hang out, work, shop, maybe even enjoy all the things we normally do in the real world. But so far, the metaverse has struggled to live up to its mega hype. At this year's WSJ Tech Live event, I posed questions about the metaverse and its future to two people who've been outspoken about it. Herman Narula is the chief executive of Improbable Worlds, a provider of metaverse infrastructure and applications, and a big believer in the potential of the metaverse. He even wrote a book about it. Phil Libin is the co-founder and CEO of two startups, artificial intelligence company All Turtles and video communications company And he's much more doubtful about the cultural and financial possibilities of the metaverse. Here are highlights from our conversation.
Thank you guys both for joining me. Herman, I want to start with you, and I want to start with a bit of news that was reported in the journal. It was that Facebook's, or I should say Meta's metaverse platform had about as many users as the population of Sioux Falls, and that is to say, not very many. So what is Meta doing wrong when it comes to the metaverse, and who is the metaverse for?
Well, that's a big question. I will say that the actual number is probably significantly lower. So just for the benefit of the audience, whenever you hear monthly active users, divide by 10 to get how many people are actually there on a given day, and divide by 10 again to get a sense of how many people are there in this moment. So if somebody says they have 200,000 monthly active users, well, you know, that's not a lot of people on an actual moment-to-moment basis. In terms of what is Facebook doing wrong, look, it's far from me to kind of criticize and preach about what a giant corporation like that should do. But what I would say is there are a lot of lessons we can already see from the computer games industry. There's a reason why Blizzard and other companies don't announce titles before they've found product market fit. And in the end, Horizon Worlds is essentially a video game. I mean, it's more like a game than it's like any idea of the metaverse that I would recognize. I think prematurely hailing an unfinished game as the future of a multi-billion user corporation is a really difficult thing to see working out successfully.
Isn't the metaverse, I mean, for gamers, they're the ones who kind of are naturally attracted to this idea of interacting online, of having, a different character. Isn't that what this is?
Actually, I don't think it is. So Improbable works with about 60 different global publishers. We just worked on the new Modern Warfare, if you've seen that, and a lot of other games. This isn't really part of our metaverse business. We support these publishers develop lots of different multiplayer problems. And over the last year, as our metaverse business has kind of exploded, not a single one of our customers in that space has come from computer games. And the reason for that is video games already work well. The metaverse is the idea, at least in my view, that you can start connecting these experiences together. That's a lot less interesting to games companies than it is to, say, sports leagues or fashion brands.
Phil, I want to bring you into this. You're a metaverse skeptic. So how do you feel about the idea that the metaverse is for fashion brands or for events?
I'm not a metaverse skeptic. I think I'm more of a metaverse hater.
Okay, fair.
Wow.
I think, but in particular, look, it's kind of pointless ever betting against the broad technology. Obviously, at some point, someone is going to make something that's going to succeed, and you can always be able to tie it back to the metaverse. And so, long term, I'm always very bullish on just about every technology. I think the Facebook vision of the metaverse it's so stupid. It makes me sad. It accomplishes nothing. If you're having a hard time really understanding what are we talking about again? What is this thing again? That's okay for an hour. It's okay for a day. But if you find yourself it's a weekend and you're still not sure, and everyone is saying something, you're not sure what it is. Chances are you're not sure because it's dumb. It's really nothing. Sometimes the emperor really does have no clothes.
Okay, so apart from maybe agreeing on Meta's abilities, let's put them aside. How is the metaverse going to exist? And I had a colleague frame it as, is it indoors or outdoors? So is it AR or VR?
I think these are the wrong questions, and they're questions that are prompted by what you referred to as the incredible stupidity around, the discourse Facebook has co-opted around the metaverse. Let's start in a simpler place. Let's not even use the word metaverse. What kind of experiences do people desire? Well, the research tells us that they desire fulfilling experiences. I rant about this in the book. They want experiences that give them feelings of competence or autonomy or relatedness. They want to feel as though they can make meaningful choices, have meaningful relationships with people. If we're going to build a new product, without using the M word, whatever that new product is, if it involves having experiences online, it better provide people more fulfillment than they can otherwise receive through alternatives, including the real world and including video games. So now we can narrow our scope of discussion quite a lot. What sort of experiences are not possible today that we should make possible, and how might they relate to each other? I'll give you an example. If you're a Manchester United fan in Southeast Asia, you've probably never been to, well, there's a Manchester United fan right there, you've probably never been to a game, you've never heard the roar of the crowd, you've never experienced what it's like to be surrounded by thousands of other fans or meet your favorite players. If we could make that experience happen, then that would be desirable, that would be valuable. That's not something you can have today.
Phil, do you buy that? Do you think people are going to want to have the same experiences that they might be able to in person in a metaverse?
Well, I think so I just read Herman's book. It's a very nice vision of where the world can go, which I like completely. I think we have some disagreement on a few things, particularly timelines. I think what you're talking about is not within the investable horizon of anyone in this room. I think we're decades and decades and decades out for some of that stuff. Basically, you can have the experience that you described of going to a football match. You can do it by going to a football match. And I think it's better for us for the collective us, to build a world where more people can have those experiences by going physically to the places that they want, by experiencing the things that they want to experience, maybe not to a particular team, maybe to their local team, maybe they can live in places that have more outdoor space, that have more access to recreation, maybe they can have jobs that don't force them to waste all their time commuting or sitting in traffic, and they've got time for their life. And I think now more than at any other time in history, it's time to invest in the real world and really just not try to figure out what we can do with a piece of plastic duct taped to our face.
What about the brands that are getting into this? I mean, we've got Nike, Coca-Cola, L'Oreal. Are these brands going to regret their metaverse investments?
Yeah, they're going to regret them. Nike in particular, because people in the metaverse don't even have feet, so I don't know what. Look, I think I think there are certain experiences that make sense in VR. Those experiences are few. Those experiences are far between. Those experiences have been with us for 20 years. There hasn't been meaningfully new innovation in VR, and there won't be, because there's this fallacy that what people want is more immersion. And actually, people don't want immersion most of the time. That's why most of us spend most of our time in the least immersive devices possible, our phones, instead of sitting on big in front of big TVs. That's why 3D movies, which have been around since the 60s, have not replaced normal movies.
But what about AR? I mean, it's not the only way to potentially engage in the metaverse.
Augmented reality, I think, is great. I think it's not great yet. It barely exists right now, but it has very high potential. And when the headsets are there, when I can wear something that's not that much bigger than glasses, and I can actually see all of you really with my eyeballs, and on top of that have things augmented, superimposed, as a way to improving the current reality, not substituting it, then sure, there's all sorts of use cases.
I mean, Herman, I want to let you jump in here because you must have some thoughts.
Yeah, I'd say the part we agree upon is that immersion is the wrong goal. Look at the most successful games in the last few years: Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft. They look less sophisticated than games that came before. Why is that? Why would that be? It's because it's not about immersion. The promise of a well-defined, well-functioning, and investable metaverse is not a VR headset. It's presence. It's the idea that you can interact with the world in more interesting ways, and that interaction results in fulfilling experiences. I think to dismiss the metaverse is the same as saying like sport, fashion, culture, all of that stuff. It's just a waste of time. Let's focus on the real world. What is the real world? We already live in a world of ideas. A mechanism to turn that world of ideas into something more accessible, more concrete, more useful is certainly a virtuous goal. I will say the thing we haven't talked about here, which is what we should be talking about. What we should be talking about is digital assets, because what's really changed, what really creates opportunity is that. Now, you said that Nike, L'Oreal, and there was another company you mentioned, Coca-Cola will regret their metaverse investments. I can't speak to Coca-Cola and L'Oreal, but Nike, with their purchase of Artifact, one of the most prominent digital asset brands, and with an incredible opportunity to create interactive experiences on top of what they already do, I think is really, really brave.
We'll have to leave it there. Herman, Phil, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, a fitting sort of very interesting debate there to end on. Sort of, it's a sort of look forward and a look back, to wondering what it's all about, really. I also, although obviously I didn't really agree so much with a lot of humour in the guy who's the against guy, as it were.
Yeah.
He's also, his other startup is actually a video thing called MMHHMM, which I would actually quite recommend. I've been fiddling with it in the last week or so, although I've had it longer, just as a sort of presentation suite for video, sort of puts it all together into one feed for you live. Anyway, that is for the future, as is everything else. The future is here. And we're on the first day of the future. Today is the first day of the rest of your life.
Oh, my God.
Because what's gone before ain't here anymore. I always say that there's no such thing as the present. The present is an intangible, fleeting moment on the cusp of the past and the future. There's a bit of profundity for you. We will see you next week. Thanks for watching. I've been Mal Burns, and James Atlloud has been James Atlloud, and we, XR, VR, etc., we are. So, have a good week, everybody. Stay safe. And if in doubt about getting out of your house for any reason, be it the weather or be it other sad things, just remember, log in, turn on, tune in, log in to anything that tries to avoid calling itself the M word, but is. Okay. Bye for now.